All right, beautiful people. Top of the day, beautiful people. Top of the day. Forgive my few-minute tardiness. I started responding to a couple emails and realized, oop, I'm late. I'm sorry. What I need to do is when I start responding to emails in the morning before I start, I need to set a timer. That's what I didn't do. Let me find my page. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Got that. Nah. All right, beautiful people. Happy Tuesday. It is November the 29th, 2022, day 275 of year 4, reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day. The 4-year consecutive day count, day 1,295. Remember, that's without the Sabbath added to the count. All right, y'all. Today we're starting a new book in Oahspe, the book of Oahspe, Son of Jehovah, and this is where the book begins to split, right? So remember, when you come across the book splitting, and it has a line going through the middle of the page, a book at the top, and a book at the bottom. Remember, in the introduction, it tells us how to read this. This is the book that's referring and giving the story of the heavens, and the one below is giving the simultaneous story that was happening on the earth below. So you read the heavenly account first. You start there, say, because we're going to start on page 59. Then you read that entire book. So you ignore the bottom part of the page for the next few days while you're reading all the way through the book that's at the top. I mean, start at chapter 1 and go all the way. If it's 30 chapters, read the 30th chapter. And then when you're done, you come all the way back to page 59 and you begin reading the book that's at the bottom. You read the heavenly account first, then you read the earthly account, right? All right, so that's what we're about to do. So we started that on page 59. And then the book that's under that is the Lord's first book. But here in the book of Oahspe, there is, how many chapters? It's 17 chapters. So we're going to be here for a week or so, maybe 2 weeks, reading through the book of Oahspe. And then when we get done, we're going to come all the way back to page 59, and we're going to read the Lord's first book. All right, so after that, after the reading today of Oahspe, we're going to hop back into the Field Guide to the Spirit World on page 147 and finish this chapter. I think we're going to finish the chapter today, maybe. Still, maybe not, but it's a good possibility we could. It's only a few pages left, and that's on page 147. So, Father, we thank you for the journey and that you truly walk with us. Even if we don't hear you, you pointing the way at all times. All right, beautiful people. Page 59 at the top, Book of Oahspe, Son of Jehovah. First, let me say hey to everybody. Vinette, greetings. Anita, greetings. Tikva, Grand Rising. Ema, set apart, Grand Rising, sis. Darius CM, Shalom, Shalom. Hana, Shalom. Global Purpose, hey girl, hey Grand Rising. Kendrick, Shalom. BC, Shalom. Bronze, Yogi, peace. Keith, peace, love, light, and everybody else hanging out in the background. Top of the day to you. All right, y'all. Chapter 1, page 59. And everybody that emailed me, I emailed you back with the exception of one person, which I did, but the email kicked back to me like it's not working. So I tried again a little bit later. Who was the name? And I tried responding, but for some reason it kicked it back. I responded directly to their email and it said it couldn't go through. I'm not exactly sure why, but I'll figure it out. All right, y'all. Chapter 1 at the top. Oh, no, I'm sorry. First, let me read the subtitle under the book of Oahspe, son of Jehovah. Being the heavenly records of Oahspe, son of Jehovah, and of his companion Ninya, daughter of Jehovah, as pertaineth to the submersion of the continent of Waga, afterward called Pan, signifying earth. And this period was commonly called the deluge, or flood of waters. Prince, shalom, shalom, grand rising time. What's going on, girl? All right, chapter 1, page 59, at the top. In the time of the world, 24,000 years before the Cosmon era, the great serpent, or the solar phalanx, being in the ark of Noah, or what we would call, who we would call Noah, not the person, but they say it's actually a time period, not an individual person. In the time of the world, 24,000 years before the Cosmon era, the great serpent, solar phalanx, being in the ark of Noah, in the Etherian heavens, and of the sum of Haut and Gia 87, the earth and her heavens were in great darkness. But the Spirit of Jehovah moved upon his high raised God, Off, in Ethera, to consecrate new dominions on the earth and her heavens. Off said, I, Off, son of Jehovah. No, I brought this down here because I need to use it.
I
don't know.
I haven't gone on.
Okay.
I haven't gone on for the past 10 days.
I'll think about it. Verse 2. I, Off, son of Jehovah, God in the ark of Noah, and some of Haut in Ethera, came to Hada, heaven of the red star in Jehovah's name, in his wisdom, power, and love, manifested in mine own resurrection, to become companion to gods and goddesses and Orion chiefs on the thrones of high heaven proclaim, to the atmosphere and spirits of the earth, and to the and to the spirits of the first, second, and third resurrections, abiding on the earth, or near thereto, either with mortals or without, to their God and Lords, and to their Savior, and to all holy ones by Jehovah raised up for the redemption of men and angels. In the ark of Noah came to me the voice of Jehovah, creator of worlds, saying, I am the all highest. My service extendeth forever. I go not, but I am afar. I come not, and yet I am near. My voice is in all places. The light of the soul of man heareth me. I speak in the vine that creepeth, and in the strong standing oak. Hear the voice of your Creator, O ye angels of heaven. Proclaim ye the wisdom of my utterance down to mortals. Call to them the glories of the heavens and the broad earth. Behold, my voice is in the rocks, and in the wind that bloweth, and in all things that have not tongues. Show them my suns and stars in the firmament above, for they are my written words. My voice proceedeth in the space of heaven. The wise angels of my exalted places hear the sound going forth. Hearken to my speech, O ye spirits of the dead. Proclaim me, O ye gods and goddesses. They look to me as they look for things. They hearken for my voice as for a man's voice, and they find me not, nor hear that which I have spoken. Yet none can efface my words. My wisdom endureth forever. Behold, I come not as a sound to the ear. My voice hieth into the souls from all sides. That's good. I like that. If you want to. That's good. Into the soul. I'm going to read this whole verse again. Verse 8. They look for me as they look for things. They hearken for my voice as a man's voice, and they find me not, nor hear that which I have spoken. Yet none can efface my words. My wisdom endureth forever. Behold, I come not as a sound to the ear. My voice hieth into the soul from all sides. Teach them, O angels, as they look not in the right way. Their ears are turned after loud claps and noises. They cry out, Alas, I hear not the voice of Jehovah. He hath not spoken. His voice hath no man heard. He is the all silent and dumber than the things he created. They have turned away from my God and my Lord's. In conceit and darkness, they have shut themselves up. They have peopled the air of the earth, and without, hold on, I'm sorry. They have peopled the air. They have peopled the air of the earth about with spirits of darkness, the Druhas of men of darkness and cannibals. Their fetals float back upon them like devouring vermin. They burrow deep in pollution. Remember them, O God, my son, and ye lords of the earth. Have no pity, but be as a surgeon's knife upon them. Thou hast told them, O God, Jehovah liveth and reigneth. His voice standeth the all highest. But they have mocked thee and thy lords, and turned away after iniquity. They are fearful, lest they believe in my person and my voice. Of their own gabble, they have no fear. They criticize me and my God and my lords, but they own that they know me not. They suppose my exalted heavens are without order and discipline. My captains they ignore, and the teachings of my holy ones are criticized by men of straw. The Creator got a sense of humor. My captains they ignore, and the teachings of my holy ones they are criticized by men of straw. Have they not said, who is God, that I should adore, and the Lord that I should hearken? But I turn their eyes to the armies of the earth, to the general and the captain. Then they say, our affairs on earth are officered and disciplined. We reverence our highest great captains. Shall they turn God away and the Lord? What shall the Creator do to please them? Is not the name of my general God? He calls his God, whoever holds the position of God, he's referring to as his general. And my captain, he's referring to as Lord. Is not the name of my general God and my captain Lord my creation? Who found the name of God and the name of the Lord? Why are they not pleased with my gods and my lords? Hear me, O ye Ethereal gods and goddesses. They desire not wisdom and resurrection. Their love lieth in darkness. To eat, to sleep, and to devour are the delights of their souls. The first lesson of life they have not learned. The first heaven of the earth to them is the all of the created worlds. Hear my judgment upon them, O ye, my holy angels and long risen. For I have raised them up again and again. I have founded lower heavens for them that they might learn, but they fall the moment my gods leave them alone. Yes, ma'am.
You will say I'm not iPad.
Well, he did come ask me. I'm not sure yet. I told him I'll think about it.
Can you end it?
Yes, you can end it. Verse 16, page 61. Hear my judgment upon them, O ye, my holy angels and long risen. For I have raised them up again and again. I have founded the lower heavens for them that they might learn, but they fall the moment my gods leave them alone. Now will I carry away their heaven and earth, and they shall be seen no more forever. But the Druhas and Fetals shall be carried to Huatan and cast into walls of fire. And after fire is reference letter A. So for this book, on page 83 begins the letter references for the book of Ah. So go to page 83. A says, these lights are seen in a small way in spirit circles, and they form in heaven boundaries for certain dominions. This is most likely the original rendering of casting spirits of darkness into a place from which there was no escape. However, they were placed there for their own safety, not for punishment. Let me read this verse again. I'm gonna come back and read that again. I'm gonna read the whole verse. No, let me go back to, I'm going to read 16 and 17, then I'm going to go back and read that. Hear my judgment upon them, O ye my holy angels, long risen. For I have raised them up again and again. I have founded lower heavens for them, that they might learn. But they fall the moment my gods leave them alone. Now will I carry away their heaven and earth, and they shall be seen no more forever. But the Druhas and Fiddles shall be carried to Huatan and cast into walls of fire, and they shall be divided into groups. Kin shall be torn away from kin, and friend from friend, and mother from daughter, and father from son, and they are become as absorbents, sucking one another continually. Hold on, y'all. First thing in the morning. What's the problem? Josiah, come on, leave her alone. I told her she come up there. Go. And quit picking with her. Leave her alone. Go sit down. Go, Josiah. Get out of her way so she can go up the stairs. And you moving too slow. Bella, chill out. Okay. Sure. And would you leave her alone in the morning? Quit picking with her. No, you were. Hold on, y'all. Oh my goodness, I just took them peppermint drops. Both my eyes are watering. Anybody ordered them yet? The Think drops. Oh my gosh. It literally, it opens up all of your respiratory system all the way, starting deep down at the depths of your shanana. And it's like this tornado of mintiness. And you can breathe deep. Okay. Let me go back. Verse 17. Now will I carry away their heaven and earth, and they shall be seen no more forever. But the Druhas and Fiddles shall be carried away to Huatan and cast into walls of fire, and they shall be divided up into groups. Kin shall be torn away from kin, and friend from friend, and mother from daughter, and father from son, for they are become as absorbents, sucking one another continually. I'm back over here to page 83, and it says, these lights, hold on, I'm trying to figure out the lights. It's saying these lights, hold on. Cast into walls of fire. I wonder if it's the fire. Well, because the A is after fire, so I'm wondering if it's talking about the fire, referring to the lights. Okay. These lights are seen in a small way in spirit circles, and they form in heaven boundaries for certain dominions. This is most likely the original rendering of casting spirits of darkness into a place from which there was no escape. However, they were placed there for their own safety, not for punishment. Okay, we understand that because when they I ain't gonna say snatch the souls away, the disembodied spirits and Druhas, when they remove them from on people who they're feeded on and hanging around here on earth, they remove them and they put them in place and they keep them separate so we can continue to grow organically, and they can be redeemed and restored so they can continue their path of growth. Okay. Tabitha, love and light. You did, Hannah? Okay. Is she the only one that got the Think drops? Ooh, that's stuff to show you what I'm talking about. These things right here. Boy, if you Google Think drops, I ain't telling y'all to get it, but I'm just saying this stuff is amazing.
Is this what they got?
Yes, that's what they got. All right, go back, y'all. Go back to page 61. I don't want to get sidetracked with stuff. Okay, verse 18. And the walls of fire shall go up around them without ceasing, and they shall not escape. And they that guard them, shall keep them from one another, that they shall do no evil. Neither shall they sleep nor rest, but be stirred up and made to know that they are alive and can exist independent of fetal. And after fetal is sucking. So when they're separated from the people and cast into the hills or the walls of fire, uh, uh, they're separated from each other and from the earth by walls of fire. It says, neither shall they sleep nor rest, but be stirred up and made to know that they are alive and can exist independent of fetal sucking, right? So they got to wake up first before they can be restored. And we see that process a lot through here with different people as it takes us through them, especially when we learn about Pharaoh and what happened to him when he got cast into Hada, right? So he out of all of them, I think he was probably like the craziest or out of it the longest. He probably had the story that shows, and he may not have been, but from what I can remember, it took a while to restore him. He was still out of his mind for quite some time until they finally went and got Moses because of the curse that Moses had put upon him when they left Egypt, when Israel left Egypt. Okay. Verse 19, page 61 at the top. Hear my voice, O God, and command thy Lord to proclaim on the earth. Have I not made an example before mortals? Behold, the carrion that rotteth in the field. Is it not the feast of the hyena, the wolf, and the buzzard? Do not worms come to life therein, and turn to and devour the carcass that brought them forth? That still amazes me. Listen. Hear my voice, O God, and command thy Lord to proclaim on the earth. Have I not made an example before mortals? Behold, the carrion that rotteth in the field. Is it not the feast of the hyena, and the wolf, and the buzzard? Do not worms come to life therein, and turn to and devour the carcass that brought them forth? What more is the earth? Pan to these spirits of evil and darkness. What more is their first heaven than a place of perpetual devouring? Have they not made it a place of everlasting destruction? They visit their evils upon mortals. The young child cannot escape them, nor the middle age, nor the old man, nor old woman. The heavenly kingdoms founded by gods and lords have become pest houses for druhas and fetals. There is no place left for founding the upright and virtuous in heart. And my gods and lords, servants to an evil world, and they shall find only rottenness to deal with. Now have I answered in the firmament of my holy sons and daughters. Excuse me. I have called them from the remote places in heaven to witness the work of my hand. For as I have made the earth and its heaven, so rule I over the same end for which I created. When they are short of my measure, I lengthen them out. When they run foul, I prune them to my own liking, for they are mine. Behold, the fool hath said, Jehovah hath made a failure. Behold, the Creator created a world for a certain purpose, but it ran foul of his mark. Hear me, O God, and through my lords, answer thou him in his conceit. Did I not quicken man into life in mine own way? At zero created I him. And I said, two roads have I made, O man. One leadeth to everlasting light, and the other to everlasting darkness. Now I have shown him the darkness. It is my witness, whereby man knoweth my word is all truth. Wherefore then should I not create the world and man and angels that they go down into everlasting darkness? Is it not by darkness and pain I push man forward? Yea, the conceit of man would fail himself, but for the failures I set up for him. Ooh, listen, let me read that again. Listen to what he just said. Wow. Look. Verse 25, yes.
You can go to the store and get some more ice cream. Dad, ice cream is gone.
Girl, bye. Now have I shown him the darkness. It is my witness, whereby man knoweth my word is all truth. Wherefore then should I not create the world and man and angels that they go down in everlasting darkness? Is it not by darkness and pain I push man forward? Yea, the conceited man would fail himself, but for the failures I set up before him. He said, even when he failed, he said, I caused that to happen. He would fail himself if he had his own failures, but I had to put my own failures in place to make sure he fails the right way. I'm just like, that is mind blowing to me. Let me read that one more time. Listen, that's something powerful to really think about, right? Because darkness and pain, by darkness and pain, he pushes us forward. That clearly we know is true. Think about it. Think about it. For most people, it really will stir up a fire up under your butt, right? When things get tough, we don't really, it's the process of making a diamond. Shucks, it's the process. If we look around and pay attention to everything, that's the process of all growth. Whether it's giving birth to a child, being hidden in darkness for a period of time, and then the pain, the labor pains, all the things that the mother has to go through just to birth this seed that was planted in her womb 9 months ago. Think about the plant kingdom. It happens everywhere. Everything is birth. The new life comes through darkness and pain. Bro, listen to this. Verse 25, page 62 at the top. Now have I shown him the darkness. It is my witness, whereby man knoweth my word is all truth. Wherefore then should I not create the world and man and angels that they go down in everlasting darkness? Is it not by darkness and pain I push man forward? Yea, the conceited man would fail himself, but for the failures I set up for him. Wherefore then have I not created wisely? Have I not a right to do my own way? Are not all things mine? If a man die in the corporal part, is he a failure? How else could man rise to my ethereal worlds? Open his eyes, O my God and my Lords. He was not, and I created him. He presumeth to look into my plans and my judgments. By his little learning, he exalteth his conceit and pretendeth to know all things. I cause the grain to grow in the field, and the day before it is ripe, I send wind and rains and destroy it, and destroy it utterly. I bring forth man with shapely limbs and strong arms, but in the day of his prime, I cut him down. I gave him the passion of love. I gave the passion of love to the mother, but I take away her firstborn. Know I not that first, know I not that first of all things, man shall be taught to know my power, and after that, my wisdom? Have they seen the places of the dead, and hell and destruction? Teach them, O God, for their ultimate resurrection is my glory and my delight. Shall man of the earth Shall man of the earth say the Creator was angry, and so he sent the land beneath the ocean? He hath not wisdom to comprehend that this day I cast out hell and destruction. The druge is his love, and as vampires they feed on each other to the ruin of both. But I know what is for their own good, and my decree hath gone forth. Right? And so he had prepared them for all the way he was about to do with the entire continent of Waga and all these people who are about to perish. He said there is no hope for them at this point. The living or the dead that surrounds this place, on it, in it, and under it. He says, so I need to do this in this way in order to save them all, right? He said, a man is not going to understand this. Look, verse 29, shall man of earth say, the Creator was angry, and so sent the land beneath the ocean? He hath not wisdom to comprehend that this day I cast out hell and destruction. That's what the Father considered what he did, was he's casting out the hell and destruction because they were getting worse and worse. He said there was no more light that was going to come from that place. And he has the ability and wisdom to see the end from the beginning. Shall man of the earth say the Creator was angry, and so he sent the land beneath the ocean? He hath not wisdom to comprehend that this day I cast out hell and destruction. The Druge is his love, and as vampires, they feed on each other to the ruin of both. But I know what is for their good, and my decree hath gone forth. Whew. Let's read one more chapter. Chapter 2, Elijah, peace and blessings. Lesson chapter 2, page 62 at the top. I, son of Jehovah, high dwelling in the Ethereal worlds, and oft trained in the change and tumult of corporal worlds, answered Jehovah, saying, Father of worlds, Jehovah Almighty, thy son and thy servant hath heard thy voice. Behold, my head is bowed, my knee bent to rush forth with 1,000,000,000 force to the suffering earth and Hada. Hear me, O angels of the earth's heaven. From Jehovah's everlasting kingdoms I speak, and by his power reveal. Again, his voice coursed the high heavens along where angels dwell, older than the earth. Jehovah said, Hear me, O ye chieftains of Or and of Ut, and in the plains of Gibraltar Tova. Proclaim my word to thy hosts of swift messengers of Wakuwak and Beliathan and Dor, and they shall speed it abroad in the Aegean mounds of Mentabra and Cax and Gal. Hear my voice, O ye goddesses of Hoetavi and of Vavi Yoni Ram, in the Etherian arcs of Fas and Liege and Omaza. Proclaim my decrees of the red star and her heavens in the crash of her rebellious sides, for I will harvest in the forest of Seth and rain. Hear my voice, O ye Hamakinsats of millions of years, standing and managers of corporal worlds. I have proclaimed the ooze and his hiss of the red star in her pride and glory. Hold on. Hear my voice, O ye Hamakinsats of millions of years standing and managers of corporal worlds. I have proclaimed the ooze and hiss of the red star in her pride and glory. Send word abroad to the highway of Plumglow and the great high gods. Send word abroad in the highway of Plumglow to the great high gods, Manitoth and the Etherian vortices of Bane, and to Rome and to Nesh out Toza and Duji. Okay, so at the end of the first half of this scripture, after glory is reference letter B. So hop over to the end of the book on page 83, and B says, Off is saying in this phrase that in spite of the fact that earth is young and therefore should be at its best, pride and glory, he is observing overwhelming base worldliness. Let me go back and read it again. Off is saying in this phrase that in spite of the fact that the earth is young and therefore should be at its best, pride and glory, he is observing overwhelming base worldliness, which is ooze, U-Z, and declension and lust, which is hiss, H-I-S-S. See Book of Sci-Fi, Chapter 1, Samoan. Okay, and that's one of those. I remember that. The symbol, remember the chapter Samoan is the one with that plate with all of the different symbols in circles. There's like a circle with a symbol in each, and the one for his literally looks like a snake with a tongue. I remember that one because we talked about that for a few minutes. So that's his. Okay. Let me go back and read this again. Verse 6, page 63. Hear my voice, O ye Hakmonensats of millions of years standing, and managers of corporeal worlds. I have proclaimed the ooze and his hiss of the red star in her pride and glory. Send word abroad in the highway of Plumfgo to the great high gods, Menetaph and the Ethereal vortices of Bane, and to Rome, and to Nesh Altoza and Duji. Hear me, O ye Orion kings and queens of thousands of millions of gods and goddesses. I have spoken in the Savorcum of the great serpent of the sun. A wave of my breath speedeth forth in the broad firmament. The red star flieth toward the point of my whetted sword. Proclaim my word in the Orion fields of Amal and Wawa. Let the clear-tongued shepherds of Zawis, and Burke and Gob and Damfarina fly with all speed in the road of Axyaya, where first the red star's vortex gathered up its nebula millions of years agone. And on the way, say, Jehovah hath decreed a pruning knife to a traveling world. Wow. This is so much better reading it through the second time. It's good to understand it just a little bit going through the first time. It's like, what is this and what is this word? What in the world is you talking about? Solar phalanx. Right? I was like, I'm gonna see this all the way to the end. We got to see it through. Now understand, so it's a little bit more enjoyable this next time around. That would key. It really would be a good movie to have all of this, not just the flood. Tell everybody the flood is coming. We ignoring what you're saying, Noah. Instead of giving us that part of it, give us what's happening and why the flood came. Give us the full story, boy. That would be an amazing movie. Key. Auntie Belinda Brown, Grand Rising. Hey girl, hey. Listen, okay. Verse 9, page 63 at the top. Shouted abroad in the crystal heavens of the summering lords of Wak and Gi and Mago and Utah, call them to the red star speeding forth. Lo, she skipped as a lamb to be shorn. Her coming shock lieth slumbering low. Let them carry the sound of my voice to the Gean swamps of exploded worlds, boiling in the roar of elements, where wise angels and gods explore to find the mystery of my handiwork. That is amazing. Listen, all of this stuff is so good. Listen, so there's education from the beginning as the world, the multiple worlds are being created. It's classroom study. It's lab time for those who have already risen to Ethereum. So now they get to watch the progression and the development and the birth of worlds and the time that it takes to actually develop a world before first any forms of life can be found on it, right? And I'm just talking about like the greenery, the plant kingdom and stuff. And then comes the animals, right? And then the more intelligent animals, after everything has been prepared just perfectly, right? They get to watch this. They see how it progresses over the millions of years that it takes to create a world from nothing. He said, I start everything from nothing. Even you coming here as a blank slate. I'm just like, this is amazing. And then after the period of time, which is what I forget, what's the time period that the any world is habitable for it to hold the life of anything? It's in here on this chart somewhere. And it's It's don't get me wrong with the numbers of years, but anyway, even after the habitable time of each world and of this earth, there's a period of time where, just like when we get older and we begin to lose strength and we wither and we die off and we go back, the same thing happens with worlds, and such will happen with this earth when it's done producing all the life that was designed to come here, the lessons that needed to be learned from those that are high ranking in ethereal, and those of us who coming through here. We won't get to see this process for this earth, but we'll get to see it on another world and watch the dissolution of it, and how what it says. Hold on. It said hold on. I just read it. 1 4. Did I go that far? I know I just read this. Hold on. Shouted abroad. I didn't read that far. But anyway, I think it's this verse 8 right here. No, that is definitely not it. But anyway, talking about the dissolution um, of the worlds and watching how I'm gonna just start reading over at verse 8, and I'm gonna come across it again. So you can see how as the worlds are going out of existence, you can kind of see there are different lessons to learn. Those who are in ethereal, on even how things go to their end and how it goes back within itself in creation, right? And then the process starts all over again. Okay, I gotta find out where I just lost my train of thought at with that. Okay, so go back to verse 8, page 63. Proclaim my voice in the Orion fields of Amal and Wawa. Let the clear-tongued shepherds of Zeus and Burke and Gal and Damfarina fly with all speed into the road of Exia, where first the red star's vortex gathered up its nebula millions of years agone, and on the way say, Jehovah hath decreed a pruning knife to a traveling world. Shouted abroad in the crystal heavens of the summering lords of Wak and Gi and Mago and Utah, call them to the red star speeding forth. Lo, she skippeth as a lamb to be shorn. Her coming shock lieth, slumbering low. Let them carry the sound of my voice to the Giant swamps of exploded worlds, boiling in the roar of elements, where wise angels and gods explore to find the mystery of my handiwork. That's where I stopped. Listen, okay, that's what I was looking for. Um, Talking about the exploded worlds. I'm sorry, yeah, I looked at it. I'm like, no, that's not what I read, but I had to read it out loud again. That's exactly what I was talking about. How I started talking about um, the worlds going out of existence, and a lesson to be learned watching it, and a process of it disintegrating. That's just like people who work in the medical field, right? I guess you can say the medical field. All right, hold on. Go ahead and scoop it. Go ahead. That thing can only fit so much ice. Close it up. Okay, y'all. I pause every time they go to scoop ice because it's just kind of loud. Okay, listen. So we can see this process. Okay, so right here it says, let them carry the sound of my voice to the giant swamps of exploded worlds, and the roar of elements, where my wise angels and gods explore to find the mystery of my handiwork, right? So you got worlds that are going out of existence, that have exploded, doing whatever it is they do at their end of life process. We also have that here where we can see now we're not observing a world that's going out, but we are actually observing a world that's going out. and it's in a form of this flesh, right? Think about people who work in the medical field, who work with people who are about to die. They work in hospice. They work well, by the time they get to the mortuary, this process has already happened, and the people who work in the mortuary don't necessarily deal with this because they get the world once the lights have already gone out, once the driver has already left the car, right? Once the employee has already checked out of his job, when the body has already been released of its native spirit, right? The person then died, right? So they get the body after the lights are gone out. Listen, but the people, and I forget what they're called, but I'm gonna share it because I learned a little bit about this. It just, the whole thing came back to me when my father was passing away, right? So it's called like the end. I think I'm using the right words, but I could be wrong. There's a certain terminology for it, but it's the end of life process, right? And they have people who study the end of life, right? Not just people who study like out of body experiences and different things. And sometimes they have these going in and out of consciousness upon getting ready to release from their body. But there is like an actual science that they have figured out that happens with people in the natural progression of death when they're about to leave. And it doesn't, it's not talking about like immediate shock and trauma transitioning. Yes, thank you, Tikva. Not necessarily like if you get shot or something, nothing traumatic like that, but if you're like dying of old age, or if you're dying from a extended period of sickness, or anything like that, where they can actually watch the process over the course of whatever time period this happens, right? So they've done this, and it's like they got it down to an actual science so much that they've put it in a book. Now that's what you can call provable science, when it's no longer just a theory of what we think is going to happen, or I think this. No, this has been tested and it has been proven, and you can see it reproduced over and over and over again, not just with this subject, but with that subject and 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 this subject and that subject. After all these times of proving over and over, it literally becomes almost like a law when it can be proven over and over and over and over again, like clockwork, right? And that's what we should be looking for. And when we get that, that's when we can go ahead and put it in a book and give our findings, and we can actually call it, there is a science to this. Now let me show you what I found. And then you begin to use all your case studies and what you find and the common denominators between each. And so I got this book. I'm gonna see. I actually do think there is a Kindle version, a PDF version of this. And some of you may have already had one if you got one when a family member was passing away, because they normally give it to you if somebody come visit you in a hospital, or you go see the chaplain or something, or you go to a hospice. Let me see. I think I got it in here. I know I got the printed one. I got it in the stuff that I kept for my dad. Let me see. No, not in there. It is, and it's a small little pamphlet. Hold on, I don't want to spend too much time. I get it afterwards. Where is my? You know what? My kids. Did they delete my app off of here? You know what? Okay, I'm gonna have to. I'll send it to y'all. I'll post it. But they be deleting my apps, adding games up here. I'm gonna go through here and delete all the games. I'm gonna change my password on my stuff. Look, so what it is, it's this little pamphlet, and it shows you, it begins to explain to you, it's they're really considerate of your state of mind, with you having to deal with the loss of a loved one. Um, and the process of grief, right? So it talks about the process of grief towards the end, but it teaches, well, actually a little bit at the beginning and also at the end. But it actually begins to tell you what to look for in the stages of dying and what happens to people. And what I remember, what really stands out to me is because when I read it, the lady gave it to us. She gave one to me and my sisters. And so it was like, thank you. She said, when you get a chance, she said, read it, some really good information, and it'll help you guys through this time. This was before my dad had passed away. So, but they could kind of see, and of course, we got faith, daddy gonna live. But at some point, as you grow spiritually, you begin to understand some things. I knew I didn't want to say it because I like to hope till there is no more hope left. Like when that last bit of life has left out of you, even for a few minutes after, still got hope we might be able to resurrect you. I don't know. But then there's a point where that can be considered complete insanity, especially if you have torn your body up and the body can't be restored, right? Because you can't live in a vehicle that's not working. It's impossible, right? This vehicle has ran its course and you don't get another one of these, right? So at some point it clicked that my father was not going to, you know, it wasn't going to turn for the better for him. Like he was going to transition. And I saw that. And so that's when I started to read the little pamphlet, right? And so as I was going through it, I'm like, yo, this happened with my dad. Yeah, yo, what? And then it started talking about this part that I remember so well, where it says when they are about to take their last breath, when they're about ready to transition, they get this boost of energy, right? And some people don't recognize it. But what's happening is that last boost of energy they're getting that boost of energy to help them transition into the next world. It's like that last little bit of strength they can muster up to make the jump out of their body, so to speak, for lack of better words. They're gathering that strength. And so when they come to, it's like all of their, and here's what fools a lot of people if they don't understand what's happening. They'll sit up, maybe they have been in a coma, they'll sit up and they'll say, man, I'm hungry. Hey, and it's like if they were out of it, they'll have all their senses, they'll recognize who you are. And like my dad did, he said, hey, baby, because he was out of it and stuff. But when my sister called me, because she had this, she finally, I said, Leisha, I think you really should look at this, right? TT, my baby sister, my brother, sometimes they can't hold it together too well, and understandably, our father's about to pass. I'm like, but Leisha, she's literally a medical professional. I said, have you read this? She said, no, not yet. She said, they give them out all the time. I said, you really should read this. Like, read this now. Within the next day, you need to read this, Leisha. So she did. She read it. And so we knew what to watch for, and we kind of talked about it a little bit. And so we had began to see, and this book was written years, decades ago. And it's something that they just reproduce and pass down and give to people because it literally shows the science of what's happening when people are about to transition. So we read it. I said, okay, so dad definitely is right here in between these stages. He's definitely been out of it. I said, okay. And okay, so at this point, I'm just trying to cut the story short a little bit. I said, okay, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna rest a little bit, right? I'm gonna just kind of, she said, okay. I said, but listen, if he opens his eyes, if he get the smallest boost of energy, Leisha, where he comes to, what we just read here, I said, call me immediately. Right. So it wasn't 24 hours before when she called me and she said, Pam. I said, what? I never forget it. I was actually sitting in the bathroom. I was scrolling on my phone. Right. She called me and she said, Pam. And when she said Pam, and she FaceTimed me, she said, Pam. I said, what? She said, look. And she took the phone and she turned it to my dad. And my dad looked at me and I looked at him and he said, hey, baby. And I darn near lost it because immediately I knew what it was. And so I talked to him for a couple of minutes. I said, okay, Dad, I'll be there in a few minutes. Where I was living at the time, where I was already here in Chesapeake, and they were still in Newport News. And it took me about 30, 45 minutes to get there. And I was like, okay, I'm on my way to come see you, Daddy. And so Leisha was like, Pam, get here quick. And so we started calling everybody who was like, yo, this is it. He about to make the jump, right? Like we was preparing for it. We was hoping we were wrong. But as we were reading through this and we watched my dad, because we had time to spend with my dad for like the last, how long? I mean, he was like here like 2 years maybe. But for like 2 years, we watched the progression of all of this and how his body just kept, getting worse and worse, and just what literally, and for this to label this out like this, I'm like, yo, we just not going to take any chances, everybody. So we started calling people so they can talk to him like, hey, Daddy want to talk to you. We ain't want to tell him, look, Daddy about to make the jump. say your last words. It's like, hey, dad want to talk to you. Just trying to keep everybody. Like me and Leisha really knew what was going on. My sister Sherry, she was there too. My brother, he hadn't made it in from Washington yet. But I kid you not, after we read that process actually began to happen, he got that last boost of energy. And like I said, if people not aware of it, they think, oh my God, they've come out of it, they sitting up, they talking, they want to see everybody, and then all of a sudden they said she was doing so good, she woke up, then all of a sudden everything just started going down here and she died within hours. They were not aware of the process. They were ignorant of what was happening. If they understood this, if this was taught on a massive level, people could better prepare. They'd be able to look at these things. It's literally a science to it that people have studied, and they put their work in the book to help other people, right? It's the same thing with the dissolution of worlds as they go out. This point, there are higher those of us who have been raised higher at that point from ethera, and they're literally going through the same process, watching the earth dissolves, the different key points, what happens here, what happens here, what happens here. We get that training early on when bodies go out, right? When they transition. And so they get this boost of energy. They want to see everybody, love yous and all of this stuff, and give me a little bit of food. Give me my favorite meal, this, and that. And then they get that in. The few minutes and stuff pass, and then they lay back down to wherever it is, and they're ready to go, right? And they make the jump, and they literally, when they take the last breath, it's the breath that pushes them out, But it was at the time it was happening, it was a really great education with a live test subject in front of us, which was our father. And it was hard, but shucks, it's never easy to lose a parent or anybody of that nature. Anybody, it's not easy losing anybody you love, but to watch it and to understand what's happening and the science behind it. And as the different systems in the body began to shut down for the proper release of the spirit, it's a really, really good education. I'm gonna share it with y'all if y'all have never seen it. Hold on. In the life book. So it's a little small pamphlet. I don't think it's more than like 50 pages, if that. But it's really, really good. I'm gonna share it with y'all. Is that called actuary science? It could be. I don't know. Don't quote me on the actual terms of stuff because I'm gonna have to look it up. It could be though. It could be. Brian Jogi said Sadhguru talks about this, the stages of the breath leaving the body. Really, I'm gonna have to look into that. Hold on. Breath leaving the body. You know what? I'm gonna have to get some more people some wrenches too, because y'all be having some good stuff, and I want y'all to be sharing the links, but only people with like wrenches can leave the links or whatever, because when y'all post it, it won't show. So I'm gonna figure out. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna give a few more people some, so that way, if y'all want to look up something and share something with somebody, y'all are able to do it here. Like do it live. All right. Okay, so let's go back. Where we at? I'm gonna finish reading this chapter. 7:19. Okay, I'm gonna finish reading this chapter, and we're gonna pause and we'll read just a little bit of the field guide. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to verse 9. It's 15 verses. I'm gonna go back to verse 9. Did I say hey to Kevin? Kevin, top of the day to you. Okay. Verse 9, page 63 at the top. Shouted abroad in the crystal heavens of the summering lords of Wak and Gi and Magog and Utal, called them to the red star speeding forth. Lo, she skippeth as a lamb to be shorn. Her coming shock lieth slumbering low. Let them carry the sound of my voice to the Gean swamps of exploded worlds, boiling in the roar of elements, where wise angels and gods explore to find the mystery of my handiwork. And that's when we started talking about the end of life process for the body and spirits as they transition out of here. Tell them I have spoken, and the earth and her heavens, near the troves and the Ethereal seas of my rich yielding worlds. I will scoop her up as a toy, and her vortex shall close about like a serpent hungry for its prey. Proclaim it in Thessa and Cow and Tin Wak Wak, and send them to Gitchifam of Januk and Dun. Hear me, O ye Christen Hammer to Holdak. That's probably wrong. Who have witnessed the creation of many worlds and their going out. Open your gardens and your mansions and seen of my fishing. And I'm sorry, hold on, let me read it over. I'm gonna probably screw this name up again. Verse 11, page 63 at the top. Hear me, O ye Christen Hamatashondak, who have witnessed the creation of many worlds and their going out. Open your gardens and your mansions. The scene of my fishing pole is stretched. Countless millions of druhas and feedles will fall into my net. My voice hath gone forth in Kimgal and Lu and Abrath and Hutavi and cuts of Mas in the wide Ethereal fields of Roduwowski. Haleb hath heard me, Borg, Ham, Z, and Luth of the Orion homestead, and Chor, whence emanate the central tones of music from goddesses older than the corporal worlds. To them, the crash of worlds is as a note created and is rich in stirring the memory with things long past. I have spoken, and my breath is a floating world. My speech is written in the lines where travel countless millions of suns and stars, and in the midst of the ethereal firmament of the homes of gods. Let them shout to the ends of the universe. Invite them in my name to the high Dan of the Mok Bang Jiao, around about in the place of the great serpent. Swift messengers with words of my decree bring the lords and gods of Wan and Anah and Anachron and Sith. Call up Gad and Adonia and Etizai and Onzi and the host of the upraised for the pastime of Jehovah's sons and daughters in the high heaven draweth near. And that's what we're gonna pause at for today, beautiful people. Isn't that beautiful, Kevin? Let me read it again. That's beautiful. Listen. Verse 13. Hold on. Is it 13? No, 12. Verse 12. Haleb hath heard me, Borg, Ham, Z, and Luth of the Orion homestead, and Chor, whence emanate the central tones of music from goddesses older than the corporal worlds. To them, the crash of worlds is as a note created and is rich in stirring the memory with things long past. I have spoken, and my breath is a floating world. My speech is written in the lines where travel countless millions of suns and stars, and in the midst of the ethereal firmament of the homes of gods. Let them shout to the ends of the universe. Invite them in my name to the high Dan of Muak Bingjao, around about in the place of the great serpent. Send swift messengers with the words of my decree. Bring the lords and gods of Wan and Anna and Anachron and Sith. Call up Gad and Adonia and Etizai and the host of the upraised, for the pastime of Jehovah's sons and daughters in the high heavens draweth near. That's amazing, right? Okay, we're gonna pause right here, y'all. Put my page number 64. All right, y'all. So this is good. I'm gonna remember to share this, for y'all. I remember the first, sorry. Nene, sorry girl, hey girl, hey. I knocked the camera down for Facebook. Look, I'm remember to share the with y'all, the transition and the end of life book. But the first time we was going through this, we were reading through it. We just reading through it for understanding. Like I said, I didn't have like any kind of understanding. Some of the stuff, like I'm able to like I'm able to add in stories now here at the beginning because of my understanding of stuff, and I can kind of liken some things, even if it's on a lower level. When it's talking about the worlds going in and out, I'm able to associate those things now with things that I'm familiar with already here, because we're learning everything that we're learning. We're just going to continue to keep learning, but on higher levels, right? Watching the dissolution of worlds is a class for those who have reached God and goddess status, right? Because now, why do they need to know that? Because they will, at some time in a future course, begin to create worlds themselves. It's a part of it, right? The creator is teaching you how to create just like he is. So he gives you the opportunity. And at some time down here, when you create the world, you will be the great creator, right? And you get to watch this process and you play the part of creator for the world you've created. Now think about that. We ain't really got into that. We ain't got into the multiple creators that are and that will be as we're training and going through our class. We ain't talked about that. We still trying to get people to think that Jesus ain't the creator. Bruh, you got so many more classes to take. It's going to blow your mind when you start getting to the courses of creator, right? When you get to the courses of creator, right? And now being able to decipher the creators from the other creators, from the greatest creator, the all, that all creators come from, right? So which creator created your world? I'm going to leave it alone. Listen, page 147, actually the end of page 146 is where we stopped. And so we're going to begin on page 147. Okay, so what we left off with is the pretentious twaddle and the pile up of words of psychologists just trying to sanitize the spiritual world, right? Listen. Too many questions are spawned by the inner world theory of dreams, more questions than answers. And what about the forgotten outer world? Hasn't it already been proven that sleep engenders out of body episodes, OBEs, as well as excursions to and from the outer darkness? Why are we so reluctant to credit ourselves with something more than an inner life and subjective dreams? One Voice in the Wilderness, psychiatrist Arthur Girdman speaks of children's nightmares not as intrinsic but extrinsic. He vehemently rejects the idea that such dreams are the, quote, flaming imagination of a young child, end quote. Rather, they are, quote, a materialization of something which actually has life, not simply illusional, but actual entities perceived by the sensitive child, end quote. As Gurdon reports, many of his young patients suffering nightmares had seen, quote, nasty, grinning, frightening faces, which I myself had seen, end quote, as a child. And I too, right? I gave y'all one of them stories. When Gurdon was about 7 years old, he lay in bed one night and was, quote, suddenly aware of a terrifying tension in the air, end quote. What he saw next was, quote, an unforgettable figure with a satanic grin. Even at that early age, I knew myself to be menaced by evil, end quote. No, this, quote, was not a Unigan, is it Unigan or Junigan? It's a J. I'm not quite sure here. Junigan archetype or Unigan archetype. Jungian. We just gonna use a Y. Maybe it's J. I don't know. Maybe it was a Unigan archetype, end quote, or a symbol of anything or any part of his own mind, but, quote, an invading entity seeking to possess me, end quote. Gurdon, 1982, pages 63 to 65. Quote, in the moment between wakefulness and slumber, the dreamer sees specters rushing at him, end quote. Macrobius commentary on the dream of Scipio. We could corroborate Gurdon's opinion by considering the phenomenon of fratzen, those unsavory visages that children often, quote, see, end quote, at bedtime after the lights have been turned out. I used to see them myself as a little girl. Young children are by nature sensitive, the psychic channel not yet barricaded, as Gurdam says, quote, by the iron case of personality, end quote. Fratzen, though, can come to anyone, young or old. George Russell once scribbled some thoughts on this interesting phenomenon. Quote, I know from questioning many people that I'm sorry, I know from questioning many people that before they sleep, they see faces while their eyes are closed. These are sometimes faces of imps. These sometimes Hold on. These are sometimes the faces of imps who frown at them, grin or gibber. Sometimes a figure will be seen which seems endowed with life. To call this imagination or fancy is to explain nothing. They have a life of their own. End quote. Russell, 1918. Students who stayed at the classically haunted Victorian mansion Harlexton Manor in Lincolnshire, England, spoke of disturbed sleep, terrible dreams, and waking to see what looked like a subhuman face close to their own. Underwood, 1986, page 226 to 27. Fratzen. In one American haunting, extreme exhaustion had lowered B.A.'s resistance. He started having nightmares. It didn't help that the house that he and his family had just moved into in Detroit had a, quote, history, end quote. Some unhappy spirit was haunting the spare bedroom. That's where the nightmares started. It was so lifelike. Bill woke up gagging and sweating. In one dream, he opened the closet door, propped up against the inside wall, and was a mutilated, blood-soaked corpse. In addition, a quote horrid stench end quote pervaded the house. Also, quote strange sounds end quote came from the spare room, and the family dog, a terrier, refused to go anywhere near it. One guest who stayed in the bed, one guest who stayed in the spare bedroom was turned around by quote someone end quote in his bed. And when he saw an apparition and sprang toward it, suddenly all the lights in the house went out, then blinked on again. All this was soon accompanied by an awful wailing sound like a wounded animal, along with other PK, like the trap door near the kitchen opening and slamming shut by itself. And this reminded me of Cosmon's story with Frankie. Y'all heard this story? The spooky hour with him and Stayla talking about Frankie, this ghost in his house, writing on the walls and blood and slamming doors. And I think it was his grandma. Said, Frankie, you stop that. And they was telling that story about midnight, scaring the crap out of me while I was laughing. Yo, that was one of the funniest things. Matter of fact, I shared it. If you go in the community section, go all the way back a few weeks. And I think I got it entitled like the spooky hour. And I mentioned something about it. And it's like the last 30 minutes of that video. Y'all got to go back and listen to that. I'll see if I can find it. I'll scroll through and I'll find it. This is the one. This is the one where Selah was talking about. It's an active spirit in the building. That whole bill was amazing, and it was amazingly hilarious and funny at the end when they started talking about this. Selah shared his story first about the active spirit in the building, and then Cosmine came on and he started telling us about Frankie in his childhood at the house he lived in. Him and his sister saw the writing on the walls and nobody else saw it, and they had all kinds of craziness happening. Hold on. I'm gonna put Frankie. Share video. Reshare. Yeah. Look. Y'all enjoy that one. Okay, I'll share all that stuff shortly. Um, okay, back on page 148. I'm gonna read. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. 4. Okay. Let me just go back to the one guest. One guest who stayed in a spare room was turned around by, quote, someone, end quote, in his bed. And when he saw an apparition and sprang toward it, suddenly all the lights in the house went out, then blinked on again. All this was soon accompanied by an awful wailing sound like a wounded animal, along with other PK, like the trap door near the kitchen opening and slamming shut by itself. Finally, when Billy actually saw the phantom, it was, quote, the most hideous face he could ever imagine, end quote. Fratzen. A hissing noise issued from its mouth, and a, quote, sewer like stench oozed from the figure's twisted body, end quote. It was, quote, the odor of decomposing flesh, end quote. Scott and Norman, 1985, page 224 to 26. Quote, in hideous dreams, he may even see the very ghost or nightmare fiend that plagues him, end quote. Edward Taylor, ethnographer, discussing a possessed man, quoted in Crapazano and Garrison, 1977, page 5. Dr. Edith Fiore, in another American case of spirit intrusion, was treating a man named Peter who had apparently attracted, quote, six or more, end quote, entities due not only to his sensitivity, psychic since childhood, but also to his alcoholism. Sometimes when Peter was talking to someone, he would suddenly realize that, quote, another being was speaking through him, end quote. Ever since childhood, Fiore notes, quote, he had recurrent nightmares of a wizened, evil man glaring at him, end quote. Under hypnosis, Peter's attacking spirits were located and dislodged. Fiore, 1987, page 70 to 71. One German case of downright possession will help drive home the reality of Fratzen. And Fratzen is spelled Fratzen. So Fratzen is this class of uh, disembodied entities, demons, evil spirits, right? They call them Fratzen. One German case of downright possession will help drive home the reality of Fratzen. It was the college girl, Annalise Michael, who tragically died as a result of overwhelming demonic possession, whose story was borrowed for the American film The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Annalise experienced, quote, repeating visions of grinning demonic faces, end quote. Then she suffered bizarre seizures in which her body would become rigid and her own face would be, quote, disfigured in a demonic grimace, end quote. Quote, the devil is in me, end quote, Annalise declared. Her face would contort into a ghastly shape similar to the demonic visages that constantly grinned at her. Goodman, 1981, page 21. This is crazy. Hold on. Miss Amazing Wonder, shalom, shalom. No, listen, set apart. Or Ema said, did y'all hear about the girl of European persuasion who was trying to call up African gods and ancestors to do harm to this melanated sister, and the European girl died suddenly? I haven't heard that. Right, Jamil. She said, I haven't. But why would she contact someone's ancestors to hurt them? Yeah. I done heard some crazy stories. Like, but you don't want to go. I mean, shucks. I guess you do. You got vicious ancestors on both sides. But why you gonna go calling up African ancestors? Like, ain't really nobody that, from what I'm aware of, they can match they kind of gangster in the spirit. Like, you don't. Why would you do that? Like, I don't know. It's crazy. Create a gang, shalom. You heard of it? They said I have. Um, yep, Yahweh Shalom. Yep, heard about that. Yeah, she should have known better. I'm gonna go look it up. You got a link? Man, if you got a link, you gonna have to post it in the comment section. I'm gonna figure this out, y'all. I'm gonna give a few of y'all wrenches. So y'all can share some, like when y'all share stuff like the stories, if y'all got a link, drop them in there, right? So we can go back and look at some of this stuff. Okay, let me go back. Let's see. Quote, "The devil is in me," Annalise declared. Her face would contort into a ghastly shape similar to the demonic visages that constantly grinned at her. Goodman, 1981, page 21. Sleeping fits assailed the boy Robbie, upon whose story the popular movie The Exorcist was based. In the presence of his family and two Jesuit priests, Robbie began squirming, thrashing, and shouting in his sleep. Quote, "The Roman ritual," end quote, comments Robbie's biographer, quote, had, hold on, hold on, quote, "The Roman ritual," comments Robbie's biographer, "had warned about this. Sometimes the demons put the demoniac or the victim into an unnatural sleep," emphasis added on unnatural sleep, "to keep him from being aware of the exorcism," end quote. While in such a sleep, the 13-year-old boy would spit on everyone. Once the priest ducked, but Robbie caught him square in the face. Quote, "He was an utter marksman at a distance of 4 or 5 feet," end quote. I would have smacked the piss out of little Robbie. Spit on me, little. First of all, I ain't doing no exorcism anyway. I'm gonna be watching that. Look, cut on FaceTime and sit the phone up there. Girl, if you don't get to know, no, I can't be in there. I gotta take care of something. Matter of fact, I'm on my way to Oklahoma, but just put me on FaceTime, sit it up somewhere where it can't fall. I want to see this. Look, look, hold on. Let me go back. Hold on. Did I skip a page? I'm playing around. Hold on. The page changed. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Once the priest ducked, but Robbie caught him square in the face. Quote, "He was an utter marksman at a distance of 4 or 5 feet," end quote, the priest later marveled. Quote, "His eyes were closed and he'd spit right in your face," end quote. At intervals, Robbie would wake up and remember nothing. He was, quote, oblivious to his nightly frenzies, end quote. Then he'd fall back into the deep tantrum sleep, and the spitting and shouting would begin again. T. Allen, 1994, page 135 and 122. Another child, overshadowed and young enough to be, quote, imprinted, end quote, by a strong spirit, became a living conduit for his uncle who had died in a plane crash. So complete was the, quote, takeover, end quote, that when the boy awoke from his nightmares, he was unable to recognize his own mother. Jamis Vu. Obsessed by the spirit of his uncle, the boy acted, quote, really out of character, end quote, when the subject about planes came up, exhibiting an altered, excuse me, exhibiting an altered controlled state marked by, quote, uncharacteristic mannerisms, as if he were in a trance, as if someone had flipped a switch, end quote. Right. The psychic switch, which Robert Monroe called the, quote, valve, end quote. And so if you read in Robert Monroe's books, you'll hear about this when he talks about that, right? I do highly recommend you guys read if you can. They ain't got the time to read. It's on Audible. Purchase it and listen to it. It'll increase your spiritual awareness from where it is now. I say 100-fold, right? And that's like the lower levels on the many levels of 100s on each level that you're gonna get to. But it's gonna, I'm telling you, it's gonna help you a lot. He gives some real life examples and different things that they tested. Remember, he was a businessman turned into scientist, by testing things over and over and writing down results and different things that they thought that had this certain pattern constantly, a new variable was thrown in and then it changed. So they had to revisit their theory or different things. Okay, so this happened this many times, but on this case, this happened. Why would this happen when all these other cases seemed like it was going like this and we thought we had it down packed, but now we run into this and our theory is not so sound anymore. We need to revisit some things and figure this out. Little Robbie spins his head around backwards, forcing you to hit nothing but skull. Oh my gosh, right? Ah! When I go to swing on Little Robbie, look, well, we're going to be going back and forth. I'm going to be using both fists until I hit flesh, not skull. Look. I really don't fight kids, but a demon possessed child cannot be considered a child, right? I mean, I get it. There's a child's body, but y'all really don't understand what's happening here, right? But they ain't gonna fly in nobody's court. I might find myself going up for abusing somebody. And then little Robbie's internal ghost is sitting back laughing. Little Robbie wasn't even there. His body was just the vehicle. On the 5 o'clock news, y'all see them carrying me out in chains for fighting a little. If y'all ever see me fighting a child, something was wrong. Y'all need to figure it out because I absolutely love children. If y'all ever see that, y'all got to know something was wrong. Y'all forbid, Father, that ain't never gonna happen. I'm just saying. I ain't ending it yet. Get out of here. Look, and all my kids come running down here. No. What, girl? It's about time for me to end. I'm gonna finish this paragraph. Okay. You know they just be saying that to pick on you, right? And you should start You're gonna get to end the video, but Isaiah also asked too. Which one? You can choose which one you want to end. Which one you want to end? All right. Listen. Okay. Yeah. Rest easy, child. Rest easy. Take your sister. Look. Come on, look, let me finish. Tootie, chill out. I'm gonna let you end it. All right, y'all.
You know you want to chill with your big brother.
Nikki, hey girl, hey. You have one silhouette and Denny. What you talking about? I miss it. Kids are throwing me off track. Okay. All right, y'all. Let me finish this little paragraph so we can get out of here. Okay. Tootie, chill out. I'm gonna let you end it. Okay. Obsessed by the spirit of his uncle, the boy acted. Bella, seriously, Jeremiah. Now you're aggravating her. Just put it down.
No, she's being not acting. She's being fussy for no reason.
Well, she was because they was picking with her. Now you coming down here picking with her more.
Man, she picked with them the most. She get what she deserves. She be fine.
And listen, don't be doing it while I'm live, sis. I'll let you in. Okay. Okay. Just chill out. Obsessed by the spirit of his uncle, the boy acted, quote, really out of character, end quote, when the subject of planes came up, exhibiting an altered controlled state marked by, quote, uncharacteristic mannerisms as if he were in a trance, as if someone had flipped a switch, end quote. Right. The psychic switch, which Robert Monroe called the, quote, valve, end quote. The story of this child was recounted by someone who believed it was a case of reincarnation. In fact, reincarnationists have seized upon innumerable instances of overshadowing, calling them instead memories of a past life. This confusion will be taken up in chapter 10, right? You can go all over YouTube and find this children from past lives telling you their stories, and they're giving you completely accurate information, right? But that is not proof for reincarnation, which is not true. It's a hoax. That lets you know that this very young child, when they can tell you Patty Johnson's address in another state and the phone number, and you as a parent go call Patty Johnson's phone number that this 2-year-old child and gave you and find out, yes, this was the residence of Patty Johnson before she passed away 4 years ago. And are you located in such and such at such and such address at such and such state? Yes, that's the exact address. Do we know you? Who are you? Oh my gosh, I think I gave birth to Patty Johnson. Patty Johnson has been born again.
Aren't those considered walk-ins? But
Oh yeah, I like that, Jeremiah. No, that ain't really Patty Johnson. That's your child been demon possessed from birth.
Yeah, they usually do it from birth. Sometimes.
Yeah, Jeremiah called them walk-ins. He said they do it from birth. But it's something for that to happen. That means some type of shenanigans was happening during the gestation period of this child in the womb of its mother. Some going on with the daddy, some going on with the mother. It could have been one or the other that opened the door for Patty Johnson to come in and inhabit your child.
Everybody
right?
that don't have a child in here, y'all better talk to y'all children. I'm saying that right now because I hope you know they can hear you. They just forget about it when they come out, but talk to y'all children. Bro.
Yeah. Jeremiah said, y'all better talk to y'all children. Talking about the one, you talking about the ones in the womb before they're born. He said, y'all know they can hear you. He said, you better talk to them.
That sounds cliche. This is one thing people do not understand about kids. They literally are so observant. It is toxic. What you need to do.
Why is observant?
It's not toxic, but it's like really dangerous. So what you do, you have to be careful of.
Like I get what you're saying, because if they go in the wrong direction, not understanding that. So okay, I get you. Okay, go ahead.
Not all, like when it comes to male and female, they say females got to be raised a certain way, males got to be raised a certain way. With males, they say they have to, be raised in some type of trauma for them to really grasp that maleness. And I say yes and no. You do that, you kind of destroy their feelings. Like half of my feelings, majority of mine are kind of gone. I've had a feeling from a while ago that I've never had again because of a certain situation.
What certain situation? Well, this is not a counseling session. Is this something we need to talk about?
I'm talking about my feelings, but just be really careful. Don't baby them, but wisely teach them.
He said, "Don't baby them, but wisely teach them." Okay.
Act like you're like a scientist teaching their child.
Right, Dawn. Patty better go on somewhere. Go on, Patty. Go on, Patty. Okay. Look, I'm gonna make a patty pie out of you. Patty! Listen, look, Mom, shalom. Look, okay, let me finish this, y'all, because we got to end this. Hold on. The story of this child was recounted by someone who believed it was a case of reincarnation. In fact, reincarnationalists have seized upon innumerable instances of overshadowing, calling them instead memories of a past life. This confusion will be taken up in chapter 10, because chapter 10, I believe the whole chapter 10 is about reincarnation and the truth about it. Hold on. Yeah, the reincarnation hoax on page 219. So we can get to that. Okay, but for now, let us look at one more nightmare scenario that the psychiatrist, himself a believer in reincarnation, interpreted as a past life memory. Look, there should be some homework too. Go on YouTube and look at type in something like people reincarnated in children, true stories, something like that to bring it up. Look at some of these stories, listen to what they say, and listen to how accurate some of these things are, right? And we all know, before you go do this, we all know that it's not truly reincarnation, because what reincarnation truly is what we would call demon possession. Somebody has put your native spirit in the bands and took your body over. Yeah, they're trying to get back here, but they done lost the privilege of having a body in this realm. So legally, to operate, to use, to get all the feels and stuff that a body would feel, right? To enjoy this realm, they need a body. Yeah, so they reincarnate or illegally possess your vehicle. And they come in, they start doing all kinds of stuff with your body while they done put you out. And then when they done, I got my groove on for the day here, them them 10 men over there that I wanted to get while I had my body, we done went. And now, next thing you know, you sitting in a hospital with the test results, and you don't know how you got it, right? Like, and they looking at you like, how else you gonna get it? And you like really dumbfounded. And not just that, murdering people going to jail. It wasn't me. Show them the video. Well, darn. Hold on. Yeah, that's the same clothes. Look, that same gold tooth on the top on the right side. That ain't you. I mean, what kind of witchery is this? How did y'all get my likeness on it? Bruh, you was in a sunken place. We need to work through this and get you free. But for now, your body going to jail for the crimes done in the physical realm. Right? Listen. Hold on. But for now, let us, and we're on page 150, y'all, of the Field Guide to the Spirit Realm. But for now, let us look at one more nightmare scenario that the psychiatrist, himself a believer in reincarnation, interpreted as a past life memory. Dr. G believed he himself was the reincarnation of a 13th century Catholic priest who was arrested and died in prison. A few of his patients, also began to reveal nightmares of destruction by the Inquisitors and the infamous massacre at Montsegur in 1243 CE. One of them, a Miss Mills, had dreamt of being led toward the stake with heaped faggots. One of them, a Miss Mills, had dreamt of being led toward the stake with heaped faggots. She would wake up in the middle of the night with names in her head. No, I'm not thinking they mean gay people. No, it's...
What else is called a faggot?
Well, let's look it up.
No, I don't like saying that word. It's a little strong.
Okay, so listen. Over the course of time, definitions have changed, and that is like a slang word,
Y'all
right?
remember when ain't wasn't a word?
We ain't talking about that, but even the word gay, when they first started using the word gay or whatever, happy. It means happy. But you use it today, it still means happy, but it looked like you happy in a different way, right? Like, we ain't get into that. Right? I can just hear something that's saying something real. Hold on, let's see. Let's look it up. Oh, okay. So it's two definitions, and the first one, they done made it number one. They done made the slang term number one, but they have a triangle with an explanation point as a warning sign. They have it blocked off. It says offensive, North American, faggot, a gay man. But the true definition, or the original definition of the word faggot, which makes a lot of sense here. Listen, hold on. Let me read this and I'm going to reread that. Hold on. One of them, a Miss Mills, had dreamt of being led toward the stakes with heaped faggots. Come here, Jeremiah. Hold on. I'm trying to give you this definition. You walking out to the garage. Okay, let me read the definition. Hold on one second. Listen. Miss Mills had dreamt of being led toward the stake with heaped faggots. Over here, the original true definition of the word faggot, F-A-G-G-O-T, is a bundle of sticks or twigs bound together as fuel. So she was put on a stake, bundled together with a bunch of sticks so they can light her on fire. Yeah, people, they superstitious, and yeah, they burnt people who had what we call spiritual gifts or certain developed abilities. This is the reason why y'all real lucky. And they call them witches, and they burn them at the stake. Matter of fact, I got if you go upstairs and look at my bathroom on that bookcase, there are 3 magazines that talks about the Salem witch trials and what they did. Like, I got 3 magazines giving you a bunch of different stories. Okay. Okay, so go back here. And we about to end this, y'all. Hold on. I'm gonna have to cut this short. Okay. They real lucky it wasn't somebody's husband that could control fire, turn it into something crazy. Y'all niggas done. Yeah, they hadn't got to that level of understanding yet where they could do that. They didn't. Yeah, so listen. Oh my God. Because had I been born back in the day, I would have been one nice and quiet. Make sure my I'm learning my craft and stuff. Cause bruh, you is not gonna catch me.
Funny thing,
If I don't know how to get myself out of stuff, I'm gonna lay low. I'm gonna be minding my business all the while, right? But when I start going out in public and stuff, and I'm still keeping myself, I ain't gonna be just out there setting people on fire and stuff like that. But if you come for me, I'm gonna know how to defend myself. I'm just saying, I'm gonna get out of there, least amount of damage as possible. But you ain't banning me to no.
Yeah,
I was about to use the word. You ain't about to bind me to a pile of sticks.
Yeah, no, that ain't.
And set me on fire, bruh. Y'all be gonna have to kill me first. I'm gonna do something because you was not setting fire to me. Look. Okay, let me keep on going. Hold on, we almost done, y'all. One of them, a Miss Mills, had dreamt of being led toward the stake with heaped faggots. She would wake up in the middle of the night with names in her head, Cather names. Dr. G then identified those names as connected to the siege of Montsegur and the burning of the heretics. Wilson, 1973, page 130 and 120. Another patient, Mrs. Smith, was also besieged with medieval nightmares of being burned at the stake. Her shrieks were so loud, her husband was afraid she would wake up the neighborhood. Searching diligently through historical records, Dr. G was able to identify the names of the long dead persons mentioned by these patients. Profoundly inspired by the quote evidence, end quote, he concluded that numerous Cathars had indeed reincarnated in the 20th century. However, all of them, the doctor, excuse me, however, all of them, the doctor, Mills, and Smith, were psychic sensitives and as such could have attracted the still unreconciled spirits or even impersonators of those tortured heretics. This, of course, would be overshadowing, not reincarnation. We should not underestimate the drawing power of the medium mystic personality. It would also help to keep in mind that there are basically two types of mediums. First, the one who knows she is a medium, and second, the person who is indeed medium mystic but does not realize it. 141. Okay, let me hold on, I'm trying to see exactly where I'm gonna pause. If I'm gonna just pause right there. I got a few minutes before I gotta leave. Let me just take a few more minutes and read it down to, because this is good. I want to kind of keep it together. Okay, I'm gonna read to the end of page 152. Okay, all right. Pause. Vinette, I ain't even asked y'all if y'all wanted me to pause. Now that you done threw that pause up in there, I do got a few more minutes. Let me just ask everybody else. Y'all want me to pause where I'm at and we save some more this for tomorrow? I'll be considered. Let me ask. Y'all want me to read to the end of page 152? Because I do. I have a few more minutes this morning. I can read to the end of page 152, but even though I have a few more minutes, y'all may not, because we really over that hour mark, and y'all might need to go to work. I can pause it. Seriously. I'm gonna say this. The third answer after Vinette, I'm gonna stop saying first answer gets. I'm gonna just kind of throw it in. The third answer after Vinette gets it. Pause or keep going. Pause. Keith said pause. That's one. Elijah said pause. Okay. All right. We'll pause. Okay. We're gonna pause. We're gonna pause right here. Okay, so let me get my marker. Cool. All right. This right here. It doesn't realize it. Okay. All right, y'all. We'll pause right here. $150. All right, y'all. This was good. Okay. Y'all, it is Tuesday, November the 29th, 2022, day 275 of year 4, reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1295. We read in Oahspe. We started the book of Ah, son of Jehovah, on page 59, and we read to page 64. And then we picked back up in a field guide to the spirit world on page 147, and we read all the way to page 150. And this is still chapter 5. The unseen is entitled The Unseen, chapter 6. The Unseen Guest. Chapter 6. Okay. All right, y'all. So, Father, we thank you for development and the time that it takes to fully develop a thing completely. Yeah. Oh, hold on. To develop it completely and the time required for us to understand it fully. Yeah. Okay. At the beginning, I said thank you for the journey and how you walk with us, but the time that it takes to walk the journey and experience the journey. And then as you get to the end of the journey, to sit back and reflect on the journey and what you learned at each step of the way, that is the most fulfilling portion of it all. And to see how you've grown through the different phases and ages and times, and to take all of that and to be able, you literally become your own case study, right? So this is really good. I love it. The journey and the development and all that's gained on it. All right, y'all. Already at the plantation. Okay, yeah. All right, y'all. Bella! Thanks, Key. Come on, girl. Let's go. All right, y'all. Yes. Father, in your infinite wisdom beyond our comprehension. All right, beautiful people. We're about to go ahead and get out of here. All right. Okay. So here, listen. Here's what we're gonna do.
I'm gonna be stomping.
You gonna be what?
I'm gonna be stomping.
You gonna be stomping. Why you gonna be stomping?
Because she gets to end it.
Why shouldn't she get to end it?
Mom!
Did you ask me to end it?
Yes. When I first came down here, I said, Mom, can I end it?
You did. Thank you for reminding me of that. Now, here's what we'll do. Let's make a Bella. Listen, let's make a you can't end it. Here's what we're gonna do, Isaiah. Bella, I'm gonna let you end both if Isaiah agrees to that. If you let her end it, I'll let her end both of it. I'll give you a little bit of time up there.
Yes. Bella.
Go ahead, Bella. You can end it. I love y'all. I will see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. You're welcome, family. I'm gonna send y'all some wrenches. Y'all see tomorrow when we come live. Who got the wrenches? Wait, hold on. Who want a wrench? I mean, I ain't gonna give them to everybody. I probably pick 2 people, right? That way, when we're sharing links and stuff, or y'all got somebody mention something, y'all can throw the links in there, or something y'all want us to look up, or something like that, or a reference or something. Go ahead, girl. Hold on. Okay. All right, y'all. I love y'all.